Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's On the Sofa. I hope everybody's okay. It's actually thunder and lightning with heavy rain here at the moment, so I don't know how long I'll be able to stay on because I can't hear anybody with it coming down on the conservatory roof. But I will do my best to stay as long as I can. So we're talking World Cup again tonight, mainly because there's not a lot happening at Swindon at the moment. We'll come on to our new signings in a moment with Vic, and we will be back on Thursday because the fixtures are out. So let's bring Vic on. Hello.
Evening.
Hello.
Hiya.
You okay?
You all right?
You okay? I am good, thank you.
I'm all right, thank you. Yes, indeed. You might have noticed in the introduction, it's Brian Wade's birthday later this week, the great Wadey, who played, of course, in 85, 86 and 86, 87 promotion season. So happy birthday to the Badger. And also it's Gerald Eiffel's birthday later this week as well. So to the Beast, a very happy birthday to you. Mitch Clark has joined us, of course, a defender, 27-year-old. 205 appearances in the Football League for Villa, Port Vale, Leicester City, Accrington Stanley and Fleetwood Town. And congratulations to young goalkeeper Charlie Summers, who's got his first professional deal. So we wish him well at his time at the county ground. And Darren Oldacre has left for Southend United in the National League. We wish Darren all the very best. We'll always remember Rotherham, won't we? What a goal that was in the final minute of that cup tie. So well done to Darren. And just to remind you of our fixtures, we're at Supermarine, opening fixture of the season, pre-season. That's the 4th of July, American Independence. How relevant for the FA World Cup at the minute. That kicks off at midday. On the 14th of July, we're away at Chippenham. That's a 7:30 kickoff. That's a Tuesday. The 25th of July, a 1 o'clock kickoff for Bristol City. That's the Saturday. 28th of the 7th, that's Swindon against Leyton Orient, Richie Wellens' team. That's a 7 o'clock kickoff on a Tuesday. And on the 1st of August, Forest Green against Swindon, a 3 o'clock kickoff at the New Lawn. And if you are watching the World Cup at the minute, if you don't want to know what the latest score is between Argentina and Austria, I should open the front door or something, go for a walk for a few moments, because I'm going to give you the details any moment now. Half-time, Argentina 1, Austria 0. Lionel Messi missed a penalty early on, but he scored a record goal-scoring goal for Argentina. He's overtaken Miroslav Klose as the World Cup's leading goal scorer after his goal against Austria. That's all you need to know right now from the World Cup.
And that's not bad at 39 years old, is it? So
pretty good, yes.
Really good.
A mere weird, an absolute whippersnapper, Chris. Nothing, you know.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a roll of thunder then. Right, let's bring our guests on. So we have our two American correspondents, and we have Graham Scott, who is our referee, a former referee who's been on with us before, just to get us some details on refereeing. So, right, let's bring Dave on.
Hi there.
Bring Gus on.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Okay.
And I'd be the only one who says howdy. It feels more appropriate.
Right, I am going to leave you for the minute because I can't hear anything, so I will see you later.
Okay, I don't know if anyone with spinning white circles. So can anybody hear me at the minute?
Yep.
Ah, there's Dave. I can see Dave. Hi, Dave. How are you? You okay?
Very well,
There's
Vic.
Graham.
Thanks for having me on
And
again.
Gus should reappear at any moment. By the magic of the internet. The internet's playing up tonight because of the weather. It's a bit inclement. It's very hot, and atmospherics are with us. Dave and Gus, hello to you. Graham, great to see you again. Former Premier League referee. Lots to talk about the World Cup. We're going to cover in the next hour or so. Lots of new rules. I'm sure, Gus, you'll be interested to hear what Graham got to say as well.
Mm-hmm.
If I know the World Cup at the minute, Graham.
Sorry, I missed the question. You crack a little bit. Then you froze. Try again.
Yeah, how are you finding the World Cup from a refereeing point of view?
It's generally been good. There's not been anything massively contentious. apart from probably the penalty in the France-Senegal game, which really should have been given. It's one of those where the referee goes to the screen and sticks, and people go, bravo, brilliant, good to see a ref sticking, until they realise, oh yeah, well, he was playing wrong. So that was the only one that's kind of had my head scratching my head about why we got to that outcome. There's been others that you could argue about. I think Scotland might have had a penalty when John McGinn went down, but equally you can make a case the other way. But generally the standards, what you'd expect is they are supposed to be the best referees in the world, so you'd expect some pretty good officiating.
Yeah, there have been lots of new rules, of course, which we'll go through, if you don't mind, as well, to explain what some of them mean. I mean, we did have one incident where a player was sent off for covering his mouth, which is the new rule brought in for the World Cup, isn't it? Any player who covers their mouth with a hand, arm, or shirt during a confrontation with an opponent will be punished with a red card, and one was. So what's your view on that one?
Yeah, the important part is the second bit. So it's not just covering your mouth. So inevitably, we people have been posting photographs of other players covering their mouths, but if they're talking to a teammate, it doesn't matter. Players got in the habit of doing it partly because of not revealing tactical instructions they've been given, and also because newspapers and others were getting lip readers to try and guess what they were saying, and then sometimes getting it very badly wrong and making it almost like as if they were making it up, even though they could say, well, our lip reader said they said something really terrible, when in fact they were asking where someone was going out for dinner or something like that. So players got in the habit of doing it. Managers did as well to some extent. But the problem was in a game, I've forgotten the exact incident last season, but I think it was a Champions League semi-final. A player covered his mouth, and then there was an allegation that he'd made a racist comment. And then, of course, it became a question of one player's word against another, and it was very unsavoury. And FIFA felt that we should stop the player covering the mouth, because then at least if there was an allegation of someone saying something that they really shouldn't, then at least there could be an investigation based on the lip reading that could then take place. Miguel Almiron, who used to play for Newcastle, now obviously playing for Paraguay in the World Cup, did get sent off the other night. The impression was that he'd said nothing particularly sinister, because the reaction didn't suggest that, but nonetheless he was confronting an opponent while he was saying it, and that's what led to him, the VAR, intervening and recommending a red card, which is in the laws of the game is correct. It does feel a bit too much, but the context is important, and that is that it's driven by an incident involving quite a serious, well, all racist allegations are serious, I shouldn't suggest otherwise, a serious racist allegation. And at that point, one understands why maybe there's a stronger reaction, stronger sanction than might normally be the case for what is just someone probably just out of an old habit covering their mouth, which is most likely what happened in this case.
Gus, do we get that in American sport? Because it seems to be prevalent. We see it in tennis as well, where they talk to their doubles partner like that, and you can't actually. I mean, do you see it in American sport?
You definitely see it in American baseball when a catcher will go out to the mound for a batter, or to the pitcher, or when a coach will come out. They do it, and it's for all the reasons that Graham is saying, just so no one can tell what they're saying. I mean, there is no doubt that there will be someone in the other team's clubhouse trying to figure that out if they don't put their hand over their mouth. In this particular instance, I saw what happened, and it does seem like the player who was spoken to did have a bit of a reaction. He didn't seem to be actually looking at the guy who was covering his mouth, but as soon as the person said whatever he said, the other player kind of went, whoa, 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 and turned toward him. I don't know that he could see him with the hand over his mouth, but whatever he said did get a reaction from him. I have no idea, of course, what he said, but it does seem like the rule is addressing a real problem, an actual, it's not for no reason. So it seems reasonable.
Yeah. Dave, we're seeing it a lot, aren't we, in Premier League football, and indeed in the Football League as well, where players do that. I mean, do you get that? I mean, your Tulsa FC games, do you get them in at that level of football in the States?
Yes, I mean, just to bring Graham up to speed, Graham, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I've been doing the commentary for them for a few years, and they play in the USL Championship, which is up and coming league. Yes, you do get that. I mean, I guess my question to Graham is, what happens if you don't cover your mouth, but you say something to an opponent from 3 or 4 yards away? What happens then?
Well, the key from a referee's point of view is if you hear it yourself, it's pretty straightforward. If it's clear to you that what's been said is racist, homophobic, misogynistic, whatever it may be, and the words are clear to you, then you would send the player off. And it would be covered by offensive, insulting, and abusive language, and which is in the laws of the game, and that you would give a straight red card. The more challenging situation is if you don't hear it, but a player alleges it.
Yeah.
That only happened to me once in my career. It was a game at Bournemouth. I won't give you the names of the players, but the player came up to me and said, "He has just said this to me." And in that case, you've got a really challenging situation because, of course, I could tell from the way the player delivered this to me that he wasn't making it up to try and get someone into trouble. He was genuinely affronted. And so what could I do? Well, I've obviously got to try and assure the player who's been spoken to, who's been insulted in this way, that I will report it, and I'm taking what he's saying seriously, and that I will take all the necessary steps. I then would speak to the player who the allegation was against to make sure that they knew this allegation had been made, because there may be sometimes a simple explanation, a misunderstanding, a mishearing. That can happen. It can be a genuine error, but if an allegation of that nature is made against you, also a right to be told about it. And then the protocol now, it wasn't then, but the protocol now is we would also then go and tell both benches that this allegation had been made and that it will be investigated after the game. And then after the match, you have both players in separately, usually with a representative of the club or the country in this case, and you would get them to give their version of events. And you record everything as the referee, and then you report everything to the FA, and then it's over to them. So there aren't many instances, I haven't many in the Premier League, certainly, but that's the protocol that happens when we don't hear it. If we do, as I said before, we would give a straight red card. Again, I'm not sure there's been one. I may just be my memory's not working to find that incident, but I think I'd remember if there had actually been a straight red card for someone saying something like that.
Right.
Don't recall one, I must admit. So there are lots of changes. One of them is a VAR one. This is a very confusing one where an incorrectly awarded corner kick, but only as long as it doesn't delay the restart, and you can't do the reverse where you can't give a goal kick from one which is incorrectly called a corner kick. I mean, it's a bit confusing for those who kind of do, you think, well, why can't you do both?
Or neither. Because that's the other option, just accept that occasionally there might be one that's wrong. Well, I don't know why they've chosen this particular method, but the thinking is that if everyone knows before the corner is taken that it shouldn't be a corner, why would you allow that? Excuse me. Why would you allow that to proceed? It's felt to people in the game that it was a bit daft, but of course there are other scenarios which aren't that dissimilar. So some teams, obviously, a lot of teams now take a long throw. If it's a throw in level with the penalty area, they're launching into the box in much the same way as a corner anyway. So are we going to check those? Equally, a free kick out wide might be just as good as a corner or very similar to a corner, and we don't check those. So it is slightly anomalous that we look at this one scenario. And as you pointed out, Vic, we don't do the reverse. Generally, as a referee, you give a corner when you're sure it's a corner, and when you're not sure, you give a goal kick anyway. But it has been interesting that I expected the refs to be a bit more bullish and say, well, I'm going to give the corner here because I think that's probably a corner, and then give the VAR the opportunity to correct it if they're wrong. But they, if anything, have been erring even more the other way about giving even more. I've seen more flip the other way where it's actually, this should have been a corner and he's given a goal kick here. I don't know why you wouldn't do it both ways, really. But it doesn't, my concern was that it would cause a strange delay where everyone came up for the corner. If you imagine an England corner, they bring the centre backs up, they kind of set up. Declan Rice is taking it. He puts his arm in the air and then he takes it. that can take 30, 40 seconds. If it takes that long to establish, actually, we shouldn't be here, we're now going to have to have a goal kick. We're now going to have to traipse all the way back. And that's going to take a minute and a half out of the game that actually we want less VAR intervention generally, don't we? But there's always a balance between getting the best decision, the correct decision. We don't want a goal from a corner that shouldn't have been given. Yeah, I can see that. Balanced against, can we not just get on with the game? You know, football's great because it's continuous. We just want to watch the football. We don't want to stand around. And so far in the World Cup, it feels the balance isn't far off. But it won't take many incidents where there's a long delay that causes a problem for people to start questioning it. So let's see how it plays out. We're nowhere near halfway through yet, are we? So long way to go.
No. I mean, Gus, as somebody who's relatively new to the game, I mean, football, it's a relatively simple game. You have 11 players on either side. Try and put the ball in the back of the net. The other side is trying to stop you putting the ball in the back of the net. Are you finding these new rules confusing, or are you quite happy because you are relatively new to the game?
The new rules that are being applied for the World Cup, and I just will reiterate what I said last week. This is really the first time I've followed the World Cup. I don't really have any other experience. I know that when it was on before, I even kind of knew it was on, but I never watched games or anything. It seems like all the rules, with maybe one exception, are to speed the game up. And that's a good thing, I think. I mean, it works out well. As an American who doesn't understand the nuances of the game, watching a player take 43 seconds to walk off when they're being substituted and going like this, and or when somebody's trying to throw the ball in and they're fiddling around with their socks, and then they drop the ball for somebody else, then drops it for somebody. It's from our standpoint, it's like, come on, let's get going here. It seems to me like all those are good things. That said, the game better, and maybe that's just all part of the game. So from an American standpoint, that's a good thing, but maybe that I don't know much.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm back again. I thought I'd frozen for a minute. I mean, I was watching, there's a great documentary series on Netflix called Quarterback, and it's really interesting to see how the quarterbacks deal with the pressure and stuff. And they have an offense in American football, of course, called delay the game, don't they? Mm-hmm. Delaying the game. So maybe it's a chance for proper football, if I might use that word, to catch up, because there is a 10-second substitute rule where sub players will have 10 seconds to leave the field at the nearest point, Dave. Now, this nearest point was brought in a couple of years ago, but you've seen it creeping back in, haven't you, where they still come back to the dugout. So that's been creeping back into the game.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'd love Graham's point of view, but for me as a fan and a former referee at a very low level, and as a player and as a coach, I think all the players are buying into this, and the game is much quicker and much flow. Everybody seems to be buying into it, and it's made it much more of a spectacle for the viewer, because we're not having this time wasting. And I think there was one the other day where the referee gave a corner, didn't he? Because there was some time wasting. So I actually agree with what's going on. And I really hope, and a friend of mine from England, he texted me and he said, I hope the Premiership are going to follow this year, because it really does speed the game up. And, my other team is I'm an Arsenal fan. I was absolutely delighted that we won the Premier League, but boy, did we waste a lot of time this year. And so I think from my point of view, barely can they get a replay in sometimes on the TV, because the ball is back in play. And I think, Graham, that's got to be good for the game, isn't it?
Absolutely, and the referees want that too. I mean, we do and we don't, I suppose, in that if the ball's dead and there's nothing can go wrong, can they? But generally speaking, we want the ball in play. We do, because when the players are focused on the game, they behave better. You get disputes and issues when the ball's dead. One of the reasons about the substitute one not being applied as much in England is, and this is where the World Cup does differ considerably, of course, is that most spectators at a World Cup game are neutrals or they're less partisan anyway. Of course, there are supporters of both teams in the stadium, but you've got much more a mix. Whereas if a visiting player at a hostile ground, if you said in Old Money Goodison Park, had to walk off on the far side and then walk around the pitch, that creates all sorts of issues actually. Yeah. And we always thought no, we can't. We have to put player safety first, of course, and then we'd let them come off. But you're right that, I mean, Gus is right around the whole thing around them traipsing off incredibly slowly. They always had a hamstring injury. Whenever, come on, let's go, and they go, oh, my hammy's tight, and of course you don't know. And the one time you bundle him off, he has got a hamstring injury, so can't win on that sometimes. But yeah, I rather like all the rules, and they are coming into the Premier League for next season. The only one that I think that people are have some disquiet about is the player who gets injured. Sometimes they get fouled quite badly. It's not a yellow card, but it's not their fault they've been injured. They have to go to the side, of course, and they're not going to be allowed back on for a whole minute next season. And that doesn't feel quite right. Where if it's a yellow card, you can allow them to stay on. I'm not sure why we can't be a bit more flexible on that. Why we can't say, well, if it's a clear foul by the opponent that's caused the problem, then maybe it could be 30 seconds. I don't know, but a minute seems rather a long time. The counter argument is that players have rather brought this on themselves by doing what they do, which is to just lie around and wait for treatment and then hope. And it's not only to waste a bit of time; it's to kill the tempo of the game. And as Gus was saying earlier, we want the game to be continuous. We don't want it to stop. We want the ball in play. The ball in play time is up in the World Cup compared to the last two tournaments. So it absolutely has been working, and I think they're very welcome and clever ideas. I hadn't considered any of them. I think a lot about how we can improve the game, but really clever ways of improving the amount of time the ball's actually just on the pitch and we can watch some football.
That one that you refer to, injured players leaving the pitch. Any outfield player who is treated by medical staff must leave the pitch for 1 minute. So it was 30 seconds before, now it's 1 minute. So that's the one to which you refer. Now then, Dave and Gus, this is one I think we've discussed on this panel many times before. No more tactical timeouts for goalkeepers. Players will be told not to go to the dugouts, but no disciplinary action will be taken if they do. So, Dave, what's your view of that one?
I'm not sure I've got too much of a view on it, if I'm honest. Are you talking about when the goalkeeper goes down and needs treatment, or?
Yeah, well, we've seen it increasingly in football, haven't we? Where the goalkeeper, after about 25 minutes, suddenly goes down, right? And then off they trot to the dugouts for a little bit of a tactical talk. I mean, maybe we'll have hydration breaks from now on, who knows? But it's become increasingly obvious in all levels of football. I don't know if you get it at Tulsa. And it's used as a tactical timeout, basically.
Oh, no, it is. Yeah, I think it's in the World Game, isn't it? We've seen it, in Tulsa as well. And, coaches and goalkeepers especially know what they're doing, don't they? I mean, the answer to it, I'm not sure. It does give everybody a break. I think we saw it the other day. Was it the Ivory Coast goalkeeper that went down to try and get the draw, and then they lost to Germany 2-1? Have I got that totally wrong? In the end, they lost to Germany in the last minute, and seemed like that was the first time that I'd sort of seen that come into play to really try to run the clock down, etc. I mean, one of the things that we're limited, aren't we, in the number of substitutions? But could one of the rules be, and this is purely me suggesting something, could a substitute goalkeeper be temporarily allowed on the field if that goalkeeper's injured, and then they could sub the goalkeeper back on? I know that would cause a lot of changes with substitutions, but just purely for the goalkeeping, the reserve goalie has to come on, and then that guy comes back on, as a free substitution. Would that stop it?
Interesting. We'll get Graham's view on this in a minute, but I think you've noticed it as well, Gus, haven't you? Where, look, the goalkeeper sat down. I mean, It's become increasingly obvious since the start of about 3 seasons ago, I guess.
Yeah, it seems obvious. I don't think this answers all of your question, but it occurred to me. I was just talking with my younger son about he's very avidly watching the World Cup. And we were talking about the hydration breaks, which I know we're going to get to. But basically, we were saying, every time there's a delay of some kind, you could possibly do 2 things. One is you have to stay exactly where you're standing. If you're a player, do not move. You are going to stay right there. You're not going to the sideline. You're not, so you don't get any benefit other than to rest. The other possibility is for the hydration break, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, maybe just allow the players to come to one point on the field away from their coach and have one person bring them water, so they're not getting any coaching. Or just give the coach a timeout. Give them a 2-minute timeout, and they can use it anytime. I mean, I know real football fans are going to hate that idea, but then maybe it wouldn't happen so much because you'd actually have a way to do it in a controlled way.
Yeah, we've discussed this the last time you were on, Graham. It's becoming increasingly evident. I mean, the quite important bit here, if they went across to the dugout, the referee can't take any disciplinary action. So should they have put that in?
Probably rather they didn't. I'd rather found another solution than put it on the ref to start dishing cards out. It's obviously difficult if all 11 go over. What are you going to do? I know people would say, well, you get your book out, they'll soon change their behavior. Go on, you be the first one who does it and see how it lands. Another option to add to the list is a bit like in the marathon where they have a bench of drinks and put that on the far side of the pitch and you go and get one if you need one. I quite like the idea of the players standing where they are until such time as treatment's been made. What's going to happen in next season in the Premier League, and I assume in the EFL, but we'll see. They don't have always followed the Premier League. Is that if a goalkeeper goes down, then an outfield player will have to go off for a minute. So they'll still come to the side and they'll still do what they do, but the price you'll pay is that one of your players is off for a minute. And I think the hope is that will act as enough of a disincentive or a deterrent that teams will stop doing it because they won't want to play. They don't like playing with 10, even though statistically they probably you take off your forward, don't you? Because it's less likely to. You don't want to concede is the biggest concern. Not if you reduce your likelihood of scoring for 1 minute, that's not probably going to matter. But yeah, I also have questioned in the past around the ethics of physiotherapists and doctors who have professional codes they're supposed to be following, which would include not joining in this conspiracy of fakery to pretend you're providing treatment to someone who isn't injured. And I've literally stood next to people doing that, and I know what they're doing. They can't say to me, "Well, you're not a doctor, mate." No, I've heard you just say to him, "We need to stay there. He hasn't finished." So there's no question what's going on. No one's even pretending otherwise nowadays, are they? But from the referee's point of view, you're not a doctor. You can't win. The one time you say that goalkeeper, you're not injured, clear off. You're in trouble. Funny enough, I remember going to watch Swindon at Turf Moor. It must have been in the Championship when the end of the Steve McMahon. Steve Finney, God rest his soul, was playing, and he went down in the box, and the referee booked him for diving, and he broke his leg, which was a bit unfortunate for the ref. Also for Steve Finney, but it actually had been, it was a proper genuine injury. So yeah, you need to be very careful as a ref to not accuse people of something that they may actually not have done, or they may not be faking anything at all.
Graham, can I just ask for a quick clarification? Vic, I'm sorry to jump in here. When you said putting a table on the sideline with drinks, are you suggesting that people might be able to access that during the game?
No, I was thinking just during the because you'd have to leave the field. You'd have to get the referee's permission to leave the field.
Okay.
That would cause. Oh God, I don't need any of that, please. If I'm reffing the game, because you've got any given time. So, and it couldn't be so close that you could reach it, because then it would be a hazard anyway. So I heard someone else suggest that you could actually just bring the drinks are brought to the side of the field.
I was almost
away
imagining
from the opposite side to the managers.
When Vic said like a marathon, almost imagining people on the sideline holding a bottle out so someone goes by. Because there are times when defense is coming back or something when that might actually be feasible to do something like that.
I haven't considered that. I don't think it's an option because of the logistics.
Kind of crazy.
I've got this image in my head now of a table with a floral tablecloth on it, and cups of tea. and stuff like that. And we're seeing increasingly people coming on and off at cricket. I mean, it drives us mad, really, when you're watching cricket. You used to have a drinks break after an hour, but now they're on and off, and then players are continually leaving the field, and they're off to the loo every 5 minutes. So
they didn't even have drinks breaks every hour. I mean, a lot of if it was a hot day, if it was a normal sort of English summer where it was 18 degrees and a bit cloudy, you just play through 2 hours. You know, you wouldn't have an hour. Every hour stop for 3 minutes, or longer.
I would imagine at Taunton today they were taking a lot of drinks on. Somerset Drew, by the way, that's neither here nor there. Showed that one in. Dave, one of the things I shouldn't like, but I am liking, is RefCam. What's your view on that?
It's okay, isn't it? I mean, it gives you another angle. And what I would say in support of the referees, fantastic runs they make to get in that position. You can see the runs they make. When a goal's scored and that curved run, it's fantastic, and fair play to them. They're all very, very fit and conditioned, aren't they? Keeping up with play. So I think it's something that has added a little bit. I don't think if there wasn't a RefCam, I don't think we'd miss it. But I'll say again, I think it just shows you the quality of the referees and the positions that they get into and have to get into to referee at this high level.
Yeah, and I think it also shows you what view they have of any incidents, whereby it's very easy to say the referee should have done this, but actually that shows you what view they've got and why they may not give that decision.
Yeah, and I'm sure Graham would have a comment on this, but when I used to referee in the training I was given, again, at a very low level, I hasten to add, was, try to be in the right position, which is very, very difficult, especially in the level of football that I was refereeing where they'd hoof it from one end to the other, but to get into those positions, I think is top quality refereeing.
Yeah, I mean,
Gus, what's your view? Sorry, I'll ask Gus's view and then I'll come back to
you.
No,
go for it.
So what's your view on it, Gus?
It was exactly what both points you just made, which is amazing. Like, I'd watch a few times and I'm thinking the ref is still running. I think he's close enough, but he doesn't think he's close enough. He's still going in there closer to the goal. And the point that you made, Vic, just to show it's hard to be a ref. You can't see everything. People get in the way. You're running full speed. So I think it really benefits our view of what the ref has to do, and also just really real credit to the referees.
So, Graham, might this lead to us understanding referees in the future? God forbid us.
I think it does help. It does help. I think the only thing that I don't know why refs have historically been felt the need to be so mysterious about what we do. I mean, we can show everyone. It's there are elements of it that are very difficult. I think most people accept that. Really, it's just they don't sometimes like a decision and think the referee therefore is a bad person or worse. It's actually to pick up on Dave's point. It's harder to find the right position in a lower level of football on a poor pitch because you don't know quite what's going to happen next. Right. In my last year, which was 2 seasons ago, I was coming back from injury and they sent me to Forest Green as a league game at Forest Green. And I was watching the player at the right back had the ball. And I thought, okay, and I looked up to see where his best options were. And I've refereed 1,000 games. I know roughly what he's likely to do next. I thought, well, there's a ball down there. There's a ball in there. I'll do one of those. I look across and he's kicked it straight at me. He's like, what do you do? I had to jump over it. He's like, what are you doing? That was the pass. But it's actually harder. I mean, the guys in the World Cup are incredibly fit, of course, and they should be. Their fitness tests are extraordinary, and yet bear in mind most of them are around about 40. Some of them a bit older. The oldest referee there from England is Anthony Taylor, who's 47. I think he might be the second oldest in the tournament, but he's incredibly fit, as you can imagine. And they do work. Their work rate is extraordinary. I would imagine they're running somewhere around about 12k per game. A lot of it's sprinting. And then the thing that I don't think anyone's picked up on since we had a large increase in substitutions is that by the end of the match, quite common now for 10 of the 20 outfield players to have been changed during the game. So they're still pretty fresh. They've come on either at halftime or since, and they can still sprint and go full pelt because they've only been on for 15, 20, even if they've been on for the whole of the second half. And as the referee, of course, you've got to do 90 minutes. You can't get to 70 and go, well, I'm feeling a bit fatigued now, or have someone on the side go, yeah, he's not quite getting to position now. Let's pull him off and put the fourth on. It just doesn't work that way, and no one would accept that, I don't think.
Well, you say 90 minutes. I mean, it could be,
and,
I don't know,
and
105,
more, yeah.
110 could go on forever.
Well, from next weekend onwards, or whatever, 10 days onwards, it'll be potential for extra time every game you do.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, it really. I mean, I've obviously done games with extra time, and they're incredibly fatiguing, because you're now going from doing 12k, you're now doing another half an hour, so you're doing a 30. So you're now doing 15k, and teams get another sub, so another fresh pair of legs come on, and you can't. As players fatigue, they can decide, I'm not running back. I can't get back. I'm just gonna jog back in and hope that my teammates will save me. But as a ref, you've just still got to go. You still got to make that run, and the games can get more and more stretched. So yeah, they have to be ready for that. But the training they do is amazing. I mean, Anthony Taylor he went to a special lab at Loughborough where they recreated the heat and the humidity of the hottest stadium. He also practiced at altitude because his first game was in Mexico City, so he had to practice at altitude. And I haven't spoken to him directly, but I know someone who has, and he's saying how that was an extra challenge. It's not easy. Just take it as it does the players, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, ref cam. The only warning I'd have with ref cam is just because the camera is showing you that's the direction of their head, it doesn't mean that's where their eyes have landed. And there can be a danger that people, look, he was looking straight at it when the camera was pointing at it. His eyes could, we can swivel our eyes. and what you're focusing on can sometimes might be in the picture, but isn't precisely what you're looking at. And you can therefore maybe miss something or misjudge something. But nonetheless, I do think it helps to build a picture of what it's like for the referee and shows what a great view we have. I mean, some of the goals, you're right in the best seat in the house, aren't you? You've got this, you're right behind that curling shot into the top corner. I can tell you, it's no better place to be other than the player scoring, I think, than being the ref right behind it.
Fantastic. Just a reminder, if you aren't watching Argentina against Austria, it's a goal for Lionel Messi. He's sort of gone past Miroslav Klose in terms of the World Cup goal scorer. Missed a penalty early on, but it's still 1-0 to Argentina in the second half. Right, to those pesky old hydration breaks, Dave. Now, it's easy to blame American soccer or American football or American ice hockey or whatever it is. 3-minute ad breaks, we kind of briefly discussed it last week. And people are asking the question, well, hang on a minute. Some of these stadiums are air-conditioned. Why do you need them? But I guess it means that all games are the same.
Yeah, we did touch on it, didn't we? I had a mate who went to the England game in Dallas, and he texted me, he said, these hydration breaks, no need for it whatsoever. We're in an air-conditioned stadium, no need. Then you've got other stadiums being played in the air. You've got to be consistent with everything. I think player safety has to be the number one consideration. And who am I to sit here and say, those hydration breaks, they're so frustrating, they break up the play. But if you're playing in 100 degrees heat, and I've had experience as a coach and a player here, and player safety is the utmost importance. And so therefore, I'm all about getting the players hydrated. And again, going to the USL Championship, FC Tulsa playing, we're used to it. I think I'd want to say it's something like 92 degrees is the cutoff. If it's above 92 degrees, there has to be a hydration break. If there's not, then they don't have that break. I think from the viewer's point of view, as a football fan, you want to see, just that one break at halftime. And so from that point of view, it's difficult to get used to because we're just not used to this, are we? And they cut away to a commercial break and then come back. But I'll summarize and say player safety, number one. Therefore, if it's really, really hot, those players do need the hydration. And again, I'm sure Graham's got a view. He can tell us about that in a minute. But we've kind of gotten used to it a little bit now. And I guess every game has to be the same. But like you said, Vic, we are playing in air-conditioned stadiums here in the States.
Yeah, I mean, somebody, and I'm not showing off here, but somebody went for a run 4 miles this morning in about high 20s, that was bad enough. And that was only 44 minutes, basically, Gus. So, we are experiencing extraordinary temperatures in the UK at the minute, over 30, high 30s possibly, and in London, possibly 40 on a Wednesday. So, and the temperatures are so variant in the States, and it's in Canada and it's in Mexico. So you can understand why they have them.
It doesn't, obviously I've watched Swindon for 2.5 seasons or 1.5 seasons, and they don't have breaks. And that seems normal. But as an American watching on TV, and it's American announcers and American TV, and, kind of the way it rolls is kind of in an American way. A break like that just seems totally normal. They go right to they show them for a few seconds getting ready to take their break. Then they go to 3 minutes of commercials. Then you come right back and they're getting ready to play. I did hear in a couple of cases that they're actually holding the break a little bit longer until the TV comes back from the commercials.
Right.
Which is what happens. So if you go to the University of Arizona football game, after a couple of plays, a guy will come out with a big, like when you're having somebody come on and somebody go off, you guys have a red and a green or whatever in the numbers. It'll say 303, 302, 301, and he'll walk around like this the whole time so that everybody in their stadium knows that the TV break is going to end in 1 minute and 41 seconds.
Right.
They go down and down, and there are so many of them. It's really annoying, but that's basically what's happening here. Only on a much, much, much more limited basis than we're used to.
Yeah, Graham, I think I'm right in saying that once it goes above 25 degrees Celsius in this country, you have a drinks break. Is that right? I mean, most of them, if there's an injury on the pitch, they have a drinks break anyway, don't they? They go across.
Yeah. I don't think there is an actual threshold. I think the Premier League will, if the forecast is for really high temperatures, they would allow for it. But generally, the English football, we don't like them, and I really don't like them as a fan. And there's not there. I think we're being very generous to suggest that this is a player safety measure. It's a commercial measure, and there's always an argument for commercialism in football because that pays the money that pays for the stadiums and pays for the players and pays for everything else. And we have to the game does have to get money from somewhere. But I think the football's greatest asset is the fact that it's so continuous, that it doesn't stop and start all the time. I mean, I don't mind watching some NFL, but I've got to invest best part of 3 hours, possibly longer, in a game. Baseball obviously is inevitably going to be like cricket. It's going to stop-start because every ball's an event. But so that's more like that's not that different to what we're used to. But football's greatest asset is that it keeps moving. The rugby codes tend to stop. Rugby union in particular stops for lineouts, stops for scrums, and it just think, well, we're just going to waste the next 2 minutes waiting around. And football has had a big issue with getting the ball in play more. We just spoke earlier about how great it is the ball's in play more and that we don't have to hang around and we can just watch the football and then we stop for 3 minutes. It seems the two seem to be completely countercultural to me. Why not? Why are we having them? And I don't think we can say in the interest of consistency we need to have them in every game because there are so many other elements of the game that are different. The stadium, the grass, how much has been watered, the direction of the wind. I mean, the general climatic conditions. There are so many different things. The identity of the referee. There's so many different things that change the game. I don't think consistency is one of them. So I think it's a straightforward commercial move. I wish they would be honest about that. Just call it what it is. I understand that in an American World Cup we might adopt some American, what might be traditions or cultural expectations around what happens in a game, that you have these breaks at some point. Fine, we want to grow the game in America. Okay, if that's what it takes, we'll do that. But let's be honest about that's what we're doing, not pretend call it something. It's just gaslighting to call it hydration break. It's not that. One game in 5, maybe something like that, it might be necessary. The games are being played in the evenings. They're being played on the roofs. They're being played on cloudy days. They're being played in Canada where it's just not so hot. Let's not kid ourselves.
I'm looking forward to a hydration break at Rochdale in November next season.
It'd be a Bovril break.
Yeah.
Scotland.
I'm very
Hot
much looking
breaks.
forward to that. For a 3-minute hydration break at Rochdale. I can't wait for that. Just a reminder, the fixtures come out this Thursday. The Premier League fixtures already out, of course. They came out this week, Monday. Well, no, where are we?
Friday they came out.
Friday they came out, yeah. So the proper football ones come out on Thursday, the Football League. And the Carabao Cup draw is also made on Thursday. We'll have a special panel on Thursday evening to tell you what Swindon are doing over the next 9 months, including hydration breaks, etc. Now, we will get to England in a minute because I've been in contact with Stefani Miglioranzi, who is really busy at the minute. He can't come on the panel, but he's given me who he thinks might win the World Cup. So we'll get to that in a minute. But the big one, Dave, the big one. The 30-minute halftime show. We're all looking forward to that, aren't we?
Well, it kind of goes on from the hydration break, doesn't it? And I'm sure Gus will have a view as well that with the Super Bowl, a lot of people, my wife doesn't like NFL football, but she tunes in for the halftime show. I mean, it's it's a spectacle. I don't agree with it. I think in the World Cup final, I think I spoke last time about this, 15 minutes for me. Again, players have played 45, 50 minutes in the first half. The last thing they want to do is to slow down for a half-hour break. Are they going to be on the bikes in the changing rooms to keep themselves going in the most important game in the world football calendar? So for me, no, I don't like it. It is here in the States. Graham's just said about the hydration break being something to because it's in the States. I think that's why it is. Personally, I don't agree with it. 15 minutes for me. It used to be 10 back in the day, didn't it? 15 now. That's enough for me.
Yeah, those old of us not enough to remember. It was 10. 10-minute one. And players used to come out 5 minutes before the game and to kick the ball around and then get on with it, and then 10 minutes at half time. In the old days when they used to kick off at 7:30 and not 7:45, all those days years ago. Gus, I mean, as an American, you're pretty used to this, aren't you? I mean, does it happen every game?
I mean, I don't think I watched the Super Bowl halftime. I'm not a huge American football fan anyway, but I haven't watched a Super Bowl halftime show in years. They're of no interest to me, but I'm not the target audience. It's I actually just my wife just bought tickets for my birthday for us to go see one of the finest UK exports ever, Sir Rod Stewart. If you want to have a Rod Stewart at halftime, I'll watch the halftime show. Otherwise, I have a feeling that's not the demographic they're going for. And maybe they'll bring in some younger people, and frankly, a lot of Americans who watch are below the age of 34. It's people who played. I mean, there was no soccer early when I was a kid in junior high school. They didn't have it. It did not exist in our community and only came in later. And I would also say, look, if we're going to Americanize elements of the World Cup for this, let's have them tailgating. Let's get our pickup trucks in the parking lot, get some grills, coolers full of beer and some footballs, and go mess around in the parking lot for 2 hours beforehand. I cannot fathom why they're taking away that, which is a lot more fun than it sounds. It's a lot of fun to tailgate.
That ain't going to happen in the County Ground car park anytime soon, I don't think.
My son's pointed out there's a parking lot right in front of the Swindon Stadium, the County Grounds.
I don't think they're going to do that. And they haven't got one at St James Park, Dave, have they? So they got no chance there. Graham, we mentioned earlier about the players, but of course for officials, 30 minutes to hang about, that's not going to be much fun, is it?
No, 15 always felt about right, but it was all I knew. So, like you guys, I mean, I grew up watching Swindon in the 70s and 80s. Well, not all of you watching them, but watching football at Swindon in the 70s and 80s. I mean, basically at 20-5, you knew the game was over. I mean, there wasn't any added time to speak of. But then, if you look at the way the game was played, you watch any old footage, there was only one sub, and they only used them if someone got injured. So there's no stoppages for that. People tried not to look injured. So if you got an injury, you try not to show the pain. So the physio.
Well, you don't want to be out of the team next week, did you?
Well,
you want to be in the team.
Come on with the old sponge, and that was it. Up we get and carry on. And goal celebrations were. I mean, even as recently as the 80s, if you watch the Swindon-Gillingham game in the playoff final in '87, the first goal, talking about scores, they kind of come out. 2 or 3 players come over and pat him on the back, shake his hand. and then they run back to halfway. The game kicks off in about 15 to 20 seconds. It's extraordinary to watch it now. The whole minute of faffing about. So I'm not a fan of the 30 minutes. Obviously, I'm a bit more of a traditionalist than that. And I think from the referee's point of view, you also cool down, and you're at risk of injury when you rejoin the game. So I guess may even go out early and try and get kind of limber back up. The only positive I can think of, when you look at the number of empty seats in the first part of the second half of games, you realise that people haven't had the opportunity to get out, use the bathroom if they need to, get a drink, maybe a bite to eat, and get back in their seat in time. So maybe half an hour will facilitate that. But it does seem, 15 minutes seems plenty to me. They just encourage, get back, watch the football. That's what you're here to watch. You spent enough on the ticket. Well,
yeah. I'm not sure who's performing in the halftime show, but I should probably, make tea and a few sandwiches and do something else. By the way, Sir Rod Stewart, I'm sure will be interested in Scotland's game against Brazil in, I think it's the 24th, isn't it? Where are we today? 22nd, aren't we? So a couple of days' time. That's an easy one, isn't it? To qualify, go and play Brazil. Right, Stefani Migloranzi, a Swindon player, of course. Graham, you remember him?
Yep.
Brazilian, Italian, American, I always used to call him, because he was all three, basically. But he's really busy at the minute, presumably because of the World Cup. So, but he did say that he has a tip for the winners of the World Cup, and he's tipped England. So there we are. He said many people might take the mickey out of him. But Dave, what's your view of that?
My heart says I would love England to win. 60 years on. We won our first game this year, 4-2. The last time we did that, everybody knows, 1966. Graham, would have been great to have had VAR in that 1966 final, wouldn't it? Jeff Firth and all that.
Goal line technology, wouldn't that have been? No, we didn't want it. We didn't want it because it definitely crossed the line, Dave.
It definitely crossed it. No question at all. I honestly, the way I think Brazil in that first game were warming up, I think they are very, very strong. Argentina, I think you can't look away from them. I've said before the tournament, yes, I would love England to win it, but I'm honestly going to go for Brazil. I think Brazil have got everything they need. When you look at the Argentinian side as well, everybody goes to Messi, but they're very strong defensively. They've got a tremendous midfield, McAllister, Etel, so I think you can't count them out as well. But if you were pushing me for one team, it would have to be Brazil for me.
Gus, what are your views on that? I know you've tipped Sweden, who've had a topsy-turvy World Cup so far. I think it's fair to say.
They certainly have, yeah. It occurs to me that, in this group play, in this initial play, you end up playing a variety of different kinds of teams. So it's kind of hard to tell much from this. If you, I don't know, you beat a team really by a lot, that maybe doesn't mean a whole lot. I'm still saying, why not England? My thought, I didn't say it last week because I didn't get a chance, but I'd never seen Harry Kane play before. Wow. I mean, what an outstanding player, needless to say. But then what I wanted to say last week was, who are the second and third best people to score goals? Because if I'm Argentina, I'm putting all my guys on Harry Kane, and then you've got Bellingham and Rashford to come in right behind and score goals. And that's exactly what happened in the game. They start keying on Kane, and then you've got these other great players that come in. So, I'm saying England has a really good chance, but I'm also obviously going to hope for a run by the US here.
Sweden won 5-1 and then lost 5-1. So at least they're consistent. I think.
My son texted and said, Sweden is stinking it up. That was his comment.
And we should mention Devon's Ollie Watkins, of course, who's also in the squad. So he's a pretty useful player to bring on. I don't know, Graham, can you have a view as a referee? I guess you can, can't you?
Yeah. I'm wanting England to win the World Cup. Of course I do. I wasn't alive when we did it first time. I say first time, only time. The only thing for me about the game being hoping England don't win it is that I've got two friends out there who are referees and others who are on the line and the fourth officials and VAR who have a chance of being in the final if England are knocked out. So both Anthony Taylor and Michael Oliver are very highly regarded internationally. I know domestically, no one will have it that they're really good English refs, but every country in the world thinks they've got the worst refs, by the way. So We're not unique in that. But both of them could be are in contention to go all the way in the tournament. They're both very highly regarded by FIFA, and they both had very good first games. So, in fact, Michael did the Sweden game that finished 5-1. So, part of me does hope that England don't get past the quarters, because if they do, then both Michael and Anthony would be sent home. That would be the end of their tournament. So, I guess they might get a third place playoff if England weren't in it. But which would be a great shame from English refereeing's point of view. But ultimately, I'll remember us winning the World Cup if we ever do for longer than that. So let's hope that the team does get us over the line.
Well, we'll see. It'll unfold, of course. Next up is Ghana tomorrow night at 9:00. We had a great night at Ottery St Mary last week. It was packed out, and there's another night there tomorrow if you're in the Ottery St Mary area. Shameless plug for Ottery St Mary AFC, but they did a fabulous job, and we're looking forward to it tomorrow night. This is from a long sort of standing correspondent, George. As you probably know, I don't do social media, so I don't know if anyone's doffed their cap to Nesta Lorenzo and Team Colombia, who I believe won 3-1 in their first game. Nesta Lorenzo, of course, coached there. World Cup finalist with Argentina, Swindon Town player, and a jolly nice all-round chap. As for football rules, then one I would change is stand the bleep bleep ball in the quadrant when taking a corner. Man, it gets my goat, and I've got 2 of them. I've only seen 20 minutes of one game last night, and the ref wouldn't let the physio on what looked like a nasty injury. They probably have to be sponsored by some USA medical organization to enter the field of play, and FIFA get 20% of the fee. And then he says, fancy being Prime Minister? Oh, some games last longer than Prime Ministers now, don't they?
Can I do the quadrant? Can I do the quadrant one?
Yes, exactly what I was going to say.
A lot of people don't know the law. In fact, I would probably offer that most people don't know the law. You don't have to put the ball in the quadrant.
No.
You just have to have any part of the ball hanging over a millimeter.
Shadow, is that right?
Yeah, well, basically, yeah. I mean, it's not literally the shadow, but I know we all know what you mean by it. If you're standing above the ball, if even a 1 millimeter of it is in line with the very edge of the quadrant, it's perfectly fine. And you get this at games. I mean, I've been ref at games where all the fans around the quadrant, around the corner, pointing at the ball and going, oh, ref. Think, oh, gosh, I better go and have a look. And you go over, it's perfectly fine. And you kind of, in your eyes, you always look at the crowd and go, roll my eyes, But people just don't know that law. And so they get angry about it. Just relax. I haven't seen one I've watched quite a lot of football this World Cup. There hasn't been one that's been illegal. There's been several where you can see grass between the ball and the white line because that's the camera angle, but it would be legal. So just chill. And frankly, why does it matter anyway? Even if you said he's not getting an advantage.
If you have it too close to the corner flag, you'd spend ages trying to get the corner flag out of the way, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would quite happily get rid of the quadrant altogether and say the ball must be placed within a meter. And if they happen to pinch 5 centimeters, well, just get the game on. That's all I want to do is get the game on. As a ref, I don't want to have to run 30 yards to check a ball's in a quadrant or not and run back. It's just a waste of everyone's time. It's a corner. If it's near the corner flag, let's play.
If you don't want to know what a score is in the Argentina game, I should just cover your ears for a moment because they got another one, and I believe it's guess who has got another one for Argentina. The man is a machine. He's 39-year-old, and he's going into the distance as far as World Cup records are concerned. 2-0 Argentina against Austria. Right, we'll wrap it up in a minute, but it's been fascinating. And Nick has sent this message in. What changes to the rules would Graham like to see? Which one?
For this World Cup, I think we've had quite a few red cards, haven't we? But almost all of them for this defence, which as refs we call DOGSO, which is an acronym for denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. So you've got players clean to on goal, gets taken out, sometimes deliberately, sometimes not, and the consequence is a free kick for which the other team can put everyone behind the ball, and a red card for the offender. Sometimes who is just a fraction late, just really unlucky, gone for the ball, just been a bit unlucky. Sometimes done something more cynical. I would say, why can that not be just give that as a penalty kick? Because what you're saying is, in the laws of the game, the referee's made a judgment that without this offence, a player would have had a shot at goal without being challenged, because that's what an obvious goal scoring opportunity is. It's got to be a clear shot at goal without being challenged. And if we're saying that's what's been taken away by that foul, let's give it back to that team and say, right, you're now going to have a penalty. And it's not a red card for the offender. It may be a yellow because of the nature of the tackle, like any other foul on the field. But I would prefer to see 11 against 11, and I'd rather see the penalty, partly because I think a lot of players then just wouldn't commit the foul. They would back their goalkeeper on a one-on-one where he can close them down and make it difficult, than back the goalkeeper in a penalty, which is kind of 90% of which is scored, albeit the one was missed tonight, to spoil it for everyone. That's what I would do. That's one I would like to do.
Lovely. Right, thank you very much indeed, gentlemen. It's absolutely fascinating, I think, to get the referee's view, because we're all experts, Dave. I mean, I know you've refereed, but we are all experts, aren't we? We know every rule about every football game that we've ever seen, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. No, it's Graham. It's great to meet you, and thanks so much for explaining that. Can I just say really quickly, the one I would bring in: there's too much wrestling going on at corners. Don't have any physical contact until the ball's in the air, the ball's been played. I know it'd be hard for referees to police it, but don't have any physical contact. You can't have Haaland and Saliba wrestling before the ball's in the air. Get rid of it.
That would be easier to police than what we have now. So I would agree with you. Yeah, I think you could have a greater separation than that even. But if you had no contact at all until the ball's in play, as you describe, at least you've got a chance as a ref. Because the problem we have is that we don't know who started it. And if it starts before the ball's in play and continues just after the ball's in play, it's really, really difficult to be sure which way to give it. Whereas if there's no contact, you've got much more chance.
Yeah.
And Vic, if I can just make two very quick comments at the end here. I just wanted to, I've seen in the news and social media, I just wanted to thank every single fan who's come from overseas to visit the United States. It looks like you're having a really good time. You're making it more fun for us. We're really glad you're here. It's been a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. I saw a woman on social media who said that she was walking in the street and a group of men all said hi to her, which, is sometimes uncomfortable for women, of course. And so she ignored them. And then she got about 3 more steps and thought, oh my gosh, these are visitors from out of town. And she went back and said hello to them and all, because she didn't want them to think that Americans were not nice. And I thought, wow, that's pretty impressive.
Very good.
The second point I particularly want to make to Scottish and English fans is leave some beer for us, please. I like the flag, Chris.
Oh, dear.
Just a little.
I might not be able to wave it after Wednesday, so I'm going to make the most of it.
Yeah, well, you might get through. You never know, might you? I mean, the way this crazy World Cup works, you might get through. But it's an easy game, surely, against Brazil. You've got no problem there, have you, really?
No problem.
Graham, thank you so much. You're working with the Atlantic at the moment, is that right?
The Athletic, you were nearly there. The
Athletic, yes.
Part of the New York Times group. So obviously the World Cup's massive for the New York Times and the Athletic. So yeah, if anyone listening wants to see what I think about stuff, then it's a very cheap subscription, the Athletic Online. So by all means, chip in and have a look.
Brilliant. Thank you, Graham. As always, it's always fantastic to get the referee's point of view and, all these new rules that are coming in, which I'm sure we're going to see in English football as well. So we'll see a lot of them brought in. Chris, how's the Thunder and Lightning?
Still going. It's got a bit lighter, but it's still going. Has it reached you yet, Graham? Yeah,
it's pouring with rain in Abingdon, but it saved me watering the garden. So
there you go.
I'm actually
small mercies.
Worked perfectly.
And Dave, I know you're in Tulsa at the minute or Oklahoma, but you're soon to be repatriated. So when's that happening?
Yeah, we touched down on the 10th of July after coming over here in 2013. So looking forward to seeing England in the latter stages of the World Cup. And can I just make one quick point about the USA? And we talked off air about, has it got going here yet? I think the answer is yes, because the 2 games that USA have played, and boy, have they been good in those 2 games. Yeah. But this slightly typifies it for me. I've got family and friends texting me saying, Dave, I'm really enjoying watching the USA play. I have no idea about the rules, but this is fun. So a lot of people still here, and you said earlier on, Vic, 11v11, stick the ball in the goal, rules are easy. But, you know, there are some things going on that, you know, just like me with baseball, I like the intricacies of the game. The more you understand, the more you enjoy it. So that's what they're doing at the moment, enjoying it, not understanding everything.
Excellent. Much of life is like that. I don't understand anything at all, but I'm getting through it somehow. Not sure how that works. Thank you all very much indeed, Chris. We'll be back on Thursday, will we not?
We will certainly be back on Thursday. It's the fixture release. See who we get. Is it going to be York City away on the first Saturday?
Well, it'll be
do
a
we
Friday
get one
because
that's,
Sky will move it, won't they? They'll put it on a Friday night. Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, or was it going to be a January on a Tuesday night up to York City? You never know. So we'll be back on Thursday. And thank you, Graham. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Gus, again. Thank you, Vic. And we will see you later. So thanks for your time. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and hope to see you on Thursday. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks.